Great, thank you so much. Good evening, fellow leaders of District 74, together with our friends of District 74. Welcome to our final session of the L.E.A.D Executive Development Programme, where we were looking at L for lead, E, empower, A, accelerate, and D, develop. This has been an amazing journey, 10 weeks, and to think we've fast gotten to the end of this program. I will surely miss these Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Africa time engagements that we have had. So I want to welcome you to this final session. And as per norm, we start off with feedback from the previous session. And in session number 9, we had distinguished Toastmaster Karen Levy-Strauss, and we had a great session last Saturday. So I want to hear feedback. If I could have volunteers for last week's session, what you took out of it. If you watched the replay, because you were not part of the actual live session, give us feedback from the replay. If you worked on your assignment, also share how that experience was. Do we have any hands raised as yet? And if you are unable to unmute, please do type in your feedback in the chat box. And if I may remind you, 100% participation. We are coming to the end of our program, and the team and I have been looking and watching for those who are participating the most and who were present, because there's something that I will announce at the end of this section of what's happening from here. So do we have any volunteers for feedback from last week's session number 9?
I have a bit of feedback.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lindo Kushle. Please go ahead.
I'm not sure if my bandwidth or my bandwidth will really be on my side today, but last week's assignment was for us to go back and take the lessons that we had about inspirational and motivational leadership and take it on and see if we are able to motivate and inspire those around us. And it seemed like a simple task at first until I had to start looking for the opportunity. And I think what messed me up the most was that I was trying to look for that big thing, you know, that thing that says, yeah, this is the opportunity that will put you above the rest. But it actually just came up in a team building session where people were like, we're exhausted and we don't know what to do next. And just by saying, well, I'm exhausted too, what should we do? And they said, actually, we can, all this inspiration and motivation and vim and zeal came in. And I thought, but wow. And Selena was there. Where is she? I see Selena. Hi, Selena. You were there. And you saw we were all tired, but close to the end of that team building, we were like on points. We were 10 times better. Like it was another team that I'd never seen before.
Wonderful. Thank you, Toastmaster Lindo Kushle, for your feedback. We'll move right along to Toastmaster Spongile. Please unmute and go ahead.
Hi there. I must say I do have bandwidth problems, so I'm hoping that I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So last week's session to me was
Toastmaster Spongile, you are muted.
I got muted, so I'm not sure who muted me. Okay. Am I
Okay, go
audible
ahead.
now? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I'm not sure at what point you lost me. However, so the concept of Ikigai, bring our best selves forward, the various elements that make up our lives, not only to contribute to our happiness, but also to look at various parts of our lives to become better leaders and to bring our best selves forward. So that concept to me was highly enlightening. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback, Toastmaster Sibongile. We move on to Toastmaster L.E.A.
Thank you, Zavai. I think for me, you know, just wanting to be an inspirational leader is something I strive to do, and I'm sure many of us do. And it's not something you always get right. I think mine was very similar to Nekuhle that was talking about the space that a lot of my staff are at the moment is exhaustion, overwhelming, frustration, and for various reasons. We're at the end of the school year at the moment, and there's quite a lot happening. And I had to find moments on how do you still inspire people just to keep going for that last stretch. And I think it can get quite emotionally taxing and mentally taxing for a leader. But I think I had to find that inspiration for myself first before I had to find ways on how to inspire my team. So for me, I had to look deep, find out what's going to keep me going for the next couple of days until we close, and then find opportunities on how I could keep my team going till the last stretch. And there's challenging moments, but there's also moments where you can see that what you've said has been impactful and hopeful so that we can get to the end. Thank you.
Great, thank you for your feedback. So we are really watching how we are communicating. Is it inspirational? Is it motivational? Thank you, Toastmaster L.E.A, for your feedback. Okay, I have just seen Gracious's message in the chat box. She had her hand up but can't speak anymore. We will move on to Toastmaster Mduduzi.
Good evening, Toastmaster Zivai. So for me, I guess the reflection really was when I thought of myself that it's always great when people say, hey, you are an inspirational leader, you are so motivating, and you are the person that we want. But the reflection when I had to do my my introspection was that, do I really believe that I'm an inspirational leader? Do I believe that I'm motivational to other people? I can talk and say whatever it is that I wish, but do I believe it for me? So when we had the training last week, I actually went through the 3 questions that were shared with us, and but I got stuck to who am I, and who am I? I really believe that it's someone that I believe, and whatever I believe, my beliefs actually people will actually buy into that. So with that, the exercise that I had to take back and actually be intentional about was really to look at the opportunities. I think Linda Gushe really summed it up very well. The opportunities where you need to aspire and the opportunities where you need to motivate. But I actually said to myself, it all begins with me, with who am I? And with that being said, I actually started to put things into perspective to say, really, motivation is not something that I really was born with, or when I'm starting a task that I'm on motivational when I'm starting a task, but I've realized that I do what needs to be done. The results are the one that motivates me. What counts the most is what drives me internally to actually say, the inspiration that is inside, that is internal, is what will drive me all the way. It's like acting as my true north. What people see from what I'm doing will motivate them because it's also the type of, it's something for them that is external. We'll see it as an example. But one thing that I came to decide was that I need to keep going no matter what, whether I feel inspired or whether I feel motivational. I just need to keep going and know that this is the person that I am. That's all that I have. Thank you, Toastmaster Zivai.
Thank you for your feedback, Toastmaster Mduduzi. I will go to the chat box. Toastmaster Gianna says the 5 Ps can be a constant inspiration, not only in corporate world, but also in our personal life. Then Toastmaster Mary-Lise, I paid attention the past week, not only to how I can inspire, but also paid more attention to people who inspire me without them knowing about it. They all lead by example. They always have something encouraging to say to me, and they never give up. I am following suit. Thank you so much for your feedback in the chat, Toastmaster Mary-Lise. We will now get into section 10, and our facilitator, trainer, speaker today is a distinguished Toastmaster twice, once in the Legacy program as well as in Pathways. And this is distinguished Toastmaster Dorothy Chanakira. She believes that of all callings, parenting reigns supreme and motherhood is the highest calling. A mother of 2 grown children, Dorothy is blessed to have 3 outstanding grandchildren, and together and separately with her high school sweetheart, they are global citizens. Dorothy is a dream builder and is on a quest to restore dignity to mankind via training in personal development initiatives that aim to actualize potential. As a transformational life coach, she has supported hundreds of people to reclaim their lives and optimize on their potential power. Dorothy thrives in seeing people create and cultivate towards building legacy. She believes that it is only in service that we can be distinguished. She is a division director and desires to see the power of the Toastmasters dream. She is humbled by the fact that Toastmasters has mounted its wings and taken a life of its own. She is eternally grateful for Dr. Ralph Smedley's legacy. So if you may help me welcome our presenter for today, taking us through strategic thinking and legacy contribution, distinguished Toastmaster Dorothy. Over to you, DTM Dorothy.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Ziwai Matondo. It's always an honor, a privilege, and rather scaring to just be brought before leaders. So it is with great respect and awe that I took on this assignment today. So I'm excited to be here today amongst great leaders. A lot of the people I admire are on this set, and a lot of my cheerleaders are here too. So it's going to be an exciting evening today. I like it that you are coming towards the end of the LEAD program. And you know what happens when you goal set to the end of a program? We tend to sometimes shut down or slow down. But I hope after today, we are actually going to take it up to the next level. Please, can you allow me to share my screen? Thank you. Fellow leaders, I want to leave you with this: think legacy. We need to start thinking legacy. To have and not to hold is a skill so art. It's only the extraordinary that can handle. When we begin to talk about legacy, it looks like it's something that is out there. Hence, hold this thought that to have and not necessarily to hold is that skill that only the extraordinary can handle. Excuse me, my slides are not moving. DTM Zivai or, all right. Thank you. So thank you. This is how I intend on spending the hour together before we go to the question and answers. Confirm I am so loud and clear that we are together. If anybody can just maybe shout
Yes.
out.
Yes, you are.
Thank you, DTM Zivai. DTM Zivai, I intend on spending about 15 minutes just connecting with the leaders. I intend on spending 5 minutes talking about legacy, another 5 minutes on strategic thinking, and then we are going to think legacy for most of the time. So again, in Toastmasters, I really believe that in service, we become distinguished. I am a member of all those clubs, and I am a leader in 5 of the 9 clubs that I belong to. You will understand why I am sharing this information later. So let me introduce you to my dream team, my legacy team, my cheerleaders. I was on a call one day and I saw Toastmaster, I think it's Lutolo, who is on the set. And I got frightened. I thought my husband had come to the meeting. And I want to believe the person on the far right down there has a semblance to Toastmaster Lutolo. So there is my dream team, starting with my #1 cheerleader, who since the 80s, we began building a legacy. Started the 2 of us, a legacy of family, reproduced or multiplied to 2 more, and then we were 4, and I'm sure the numbers there are telling you that we have been advancing in creating this family legacy. So the lady on the top left is taken, don't even think about it, but the scouting for talent goes on for the gentleman in a red tie. So this is us on an average weekend. I am in the woods with the better part of the family. You know how they say talent or genius skips one generation? All the genius in me and my husband actually landed in those 3 musketeers. And I am gangster granny because of these guys. So I really believe, like DTM Zivai says, that of callings, parenting does reign supreme and motherhood ranks the highest. So as your coach today, I just want to inspire you to learn to lead, and to lead to learn. To learn to lead, and lead to learn. And today being the last day of the program, I'm sure you've learned a lot. So my intention is to not maybe bring in new things, because most of the things we have learned, but for me to inspire you to reach a little higher. Thank you. I am happy to take us to the next level. Who here wants to go to the next level? Please, can you shout and scream if you're willing on wanting to go to the next level?
Me!
Yay!
It looks like we have people that are really wanting to go to the next level here. So I am in good, if not great company. Today, I am going to talk about dreams. And as a dream builder, I have no business to be here and not support your dreams. This was a quotation of 1 month, and I want to believe it's a quotation of all times. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Do we have dreams? Do we have dreams to lead? For some of us on the call, just coming to the LEAD program was the deal. And for some of us, just being a Toastmaster became the big deal. For some, I really love L. Nightingale, who defines success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And you wouldn't be here on the LEAD program if you were not successful. So I would like you to congratulate yourself for being successful and for taking everything to the next level. Today, we want to talk about strategic thinking. Thinking alone is a discipline that we all must be encouraged to take on, to learn. But strategic thinking is even when we take it a little further. So let's talk about strategic thinking, the attributes. I want to believe strategic thinking is long-term thinking. It's when you have a broader view of things. It's not just about the now. It's not just about attending the LEAD program. It's not about just becoming distinguished. It's not just being a Toastmaster. It's understanding that Toastmasters is not an end in itself, but it is a means to an end. It's having the understanding to say legacy is about winning the war and not just battles. So completing the LEAD program was a battle that you fought and won. Congratulations. But talking legacy and beginning to think seriously about building a legacy and thinking seriously about committing to serve and serve more in and through Toastmasters and in other walks of your life is strategic thinking. It's something that you need to actually sit down and begin to map a way forward. I want to believe strategic thinking is about the balancing act. Without balance, it's very difficult to achieve the things that we want to achieve. Hence, you saw that for me as a dreamer and a dream builder, my anchoring and my grounding starts with my family, and hence my balancing act revolves around that to make sure that I take whatever it is that I want to bring to the world and share with the world here on earth. Stakeholder management. There are stakeholders in your legacy, whatever legacy you're building. Strategic thinking means knowing to manage those stakeholders, knowing that you do have other stakeholders that you need to take care of. And it's about looking at the bigger picture. It's not just about you. And as a leader, it ceases to be about you. It starts being about your family. It starts being about your club. It's about your organization. It's about diplomatic thinking and knowing that not all thoughts are progressive. It's about knowing that you need to be smart and you need to have broad, not narrower goals. It means you need to have an alignment of your vision and your mission. That, I want to believe, is the essence of strategic thinking. It's having a razor focus to whatever it is that you intend on doing. So today I would like us to really zero in on thinking legacy and what legacy you would want to leave behind. What would you want to be remembered for. Let's start with, what do you love? What would you love? If people would be giving eulogies at your funeral, what would you like to hear? And as a dream builder, I want to encourage you to start with the end in mind, to start painting a picture of that legacy that you want to build, and know that by design, you can actually work progressively towards achieving that legacy. You want to have a blueprint. You want to have a plan. You want to be able to show people that this is my legacy. This is the legacy I want to leave behind. And this is the plan that I'm going to follow to get to that legacy. You want to show up. I know there is pressure. I know you have got the job, but maybe your job is not the legacy you want to leave. But other people also have been known to leave great legacies in their workplaces. But for you to do that, you need to do something extra for you to have had a legacy in your job situation. You want to grow into it. Rome was not built in a day, and you want to stay humble. Successes, yes, are celebrated, and we should celebrate them. But having had or having achieved success, you want to stay humble. I was looking at the movie yesterday, King Richard, which is a movie about how the Williams sisters were raised. And one of the things that stands out is that the father, who was the main coach at the beginning, always inspired the children, the sisters, the Williams girls, to stay humble. And that is actually one of the things why, one of the reasons why they prospered. You want to, again, I emphasize, learn to lead and lead to learn. I like Toastmasters because it does give us opportunities to learn as we lead. And if you want to be leaders, then you want to engage, you want to lead, so you learn. And once you've got the leadership role, I always say leadership is an opportunity to serve, but becoming distinguished is a choice that you make. It's a choice that you make. I would want us to look at some of the people that have left a legacy. And I would like you to forget about Steve Jobs, but go into the chat box and please just put in names of people that you believe have indeed left a legacy. And if I could have the Zoom master help me, because I don't see the chat box from where I'm at, if I can have the Zoom master letting me know what people are putting in as the names of people or organizations that you believe have left legacy that we can talk about.
Names that are appearing in the chat is Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Winnie Mandela, Nkosi Tesla, Chris Barnard, Mother Teresa, Robert Bob Marley, Meryl Jabber, Oprah Winfrey, Thomas Sankara, Steve Biko, Miles Monroe, Indira Noory, Merle, Chepu Chola, Mahatma Gandhi, the Zulu Regent Queen Mkabayi Kajama, Ellen DeGeneres, Patrice Lumumba, Ziva Matondo, Thomas Edison, my dad, Jesus, Mr. Smedley, Mr. PJ Chuma, Les Brown, Napoleon Hill, King David, F.W. de Klerk, Evangelist Reinhard Bonke, Neil Armstrong. That's the bottom of the list currently.
Wow, 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 wow. Congratulations, DTM Zivai Matondo. Already you are creating legacy and people are acknowledging the legacy that you're leaving. And thank you for your contributions, everyone. Let's look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs left a legacy of thinking outside the box and having ideas beyond one lifetime, innovation, and more. Let's talk about Adolf Hitler. And if you can, please, in the chat box, put in what you think about, because legacy is legacy, good or bad. It is something that is tangible, that you leave, that can speak or can be known years even after you've left. Indeed, Adolf Hitler did leave a legacy of industrialization during his time and the stench of genocide. What else do we have? Do we have anything else in the chat box about Adolf Hitler's legacy? Anything?
Sorry, names that appeared there later on was Mr. Bob Collins, late director at work for one of our participants today, Andrew Carnegie, Michael Jackson, the Tsuru brothers, Peter Chiware, Legacy of a Good Dad, Misguided then they refer to, there is a comment from Linda Kuchler that says misguided patriarchy. And Will Scott says, Hitler showed us how fallen any of us could become. Hannah says, Adolf, racism. Francois says, hatred. And that's about Hitler. And then Rumbizai says, pain. Penny says, heartless. He was born to do what he had to do. That is what Gina says. Boosie says a legacy of hatred, Adolf Hitler. Heartless and racism, legacy of othering and division. Can I stop there? Dorothy, should I stop
yes,
there?
Yes, you can. Thank you very much. So there you go. Even as yes, you can stop there. Thank you. So even as we continue, Adolf Hitler is just that stench of genocide. So when we're thinking legacy, you are thinking, does this run with my moral code? Is this going to be a blessing to people? Is this the kind of legacy that you want to leave behind? Another person that left a legacy that we can learn from is Mother Teresa. I love that Mother Teresa was service-driven. She had a tenacity and a resilience. Any more attributes that we can learn from Mother Teresa? Let's chat in the chat box. Let's communicate in the chat box. I heard from DTM Zivai that involvement was the key and she was watching who was participating. So let's participate in Mother Teresa's service. And that is Toastmasters, we have that in common with Mother Teresa. As a leader, over to you.
Words that appear there are selfless, kindness, compassion for one and all, service above self, mother of a nation, selfless. She never gave up and never gave in. Dignity, generosity, calm in stature, warmth, selfless, pure love, humility and compassion, others before herself, Unapologetically, she was driven, non-judgmental. She was the epitome of selflessness, kindness, humility, brave, love, 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 love. And there are more that continues appearing. Back to you, Dorothy.
Right. So thank you so much, Bet. And that's Mother Teresa for you. The tenacity, the resilience, the love. So the legacy is clothed in all those positive attributes. So as we are thinking legacy, you want to think about inculcating some of those qualities in the legacy that you want to build. Again, we said you grow into it. And by design, you begin to put in the ingredients that form the legacy that you want to create. I love the legacy that Dr. Ralph Smedley left for us. This is what is giving us the opportunity to even connect. In the chat box, please let us know what the world knows Dr. Ralph Smedley for. I just said here for public speaking and leadership development. Anything else that you know Dr. Ralph Smedley was known for? Dr. Ralph Smedley, the legacy that we are conjoined in, 97 years, and we are still counting. One of the longest living legacies that we can talk about. Anything in the chat box, Bert?
There's 2 or 3 that appeared: visionary, personal development. Oops, now they're going very fast. Growth, building one's self-confidence, people development, experiential learning, healing therapy through expression, leadership development, building confidence and potential, motivational, futurist of note, a man with a long-term vision to raise society out of mediocrity, a leadership extraordinaire, solving a connection problem, giving, I wonder whether that was a comment, giving adults the opportunity to grow and develop their speaking and leadership skills, self-development, transformational leader. That was Penny saying that, and that's the last comment at this time. Right. Empowerment and inspiring fellowship. Back to you, Dorothy.
Thank you. So we are indeed grateful for that legacy that Dr. Ralph Smedley left for us. Every single day, there is a meeting somewhere in the world, people connecting due to that legacy that Dr. Ralph Smedley left for us. Let's talk about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, out of Africa, out of South Africa, a man that was imprisoned for what he believed, ended up being one legacy that almost everyone, everywhere, almost every business conference, this name is mentioned. What was so special about Nelson Mandela? Can we chat in the chat box? His main thing was reconciliation. But what else? What else do we know? And can we learn from the legacy that was left by Nelson Mandela?
Okay, words that are appearing there or comments that are appearing there are influence, unconditional forgiveness, love of his fellow man, a true fighter, resilience. Will says the epitome of humanity. Gina says epitome of balance. Unity says unity. Her name is Unity, and that is the word that she mentioned. Empowerment, love for people and peace, never deterred, focus on the goal. Peace, forgiveness. Busi says forgiveness. Simon says selfless. Ubuntu, that's what Moyo says. Fortitude, selfless, unity, tolerance, believe in your vision. Francois says, lived forgiveness. He lived forgiveness. peace appears again. Respect. That was the last one for the moment. Back to you, Dorothy.
Thank you. So that's legacy. And I want to believe that Nelson actually had to map out the legacy that he wanted to live out. So it's the intention that I really want to impress upon you, that for you to have a certain kind of legacy, you want to be deliberate about it. I like what Tony Robbins says. He says life is a gift, and it offers us the privilege, opportunity, and responsibility to give something back by becoming more. As graduates of the L.E.A.D program, you have had the opportunity to learn. You were singled out as the cream of District 74. And you have had, or you are now left with the responsibility to give something back by becoming more. In the chat box, please let us, in what areas you wish to become more, to become better, to give more, in what areas? I would put in there, if I was typing in the chat box, that I would like to be a more influential, transformational life coach, to give more, to restore more dignity, even to mankind. So go into the chat box and tell us, what is it that you would want to become more in? What is it that you would want to become more in? Life is a gift, and it offers us the privilege, opportunity, and responsibility to give something back by becoming more. Can I inspire you to become more? In what area? Over to you, Bet.
Okay, the words and phrases appearing in the chat is mentoring, human empowerment, inspirational lead, to be an inspirational leader, to be more humble, to empower people, to be a relationship coach with impact, being an inspiration to others, being an inspirer, to be connected to others so I can empower and help more, to be more confident in myself. Penny says more motivational in helping others to change their lives for the better, to empower people to be confident and to believe themselves. Fasu says something about in the area of business. And then Sibongile says focused. Etienne says significance, influence, and inspirational. Nobantu says to serve more and coach more. Hannah says to help people share their stories fearlessly and creatively. And I see I'm not catching up the amount of messages in the chat are just becoming more. There's 25 more coming. Should I hand back to you, Dorothy?
You can hand back to me. And please save the chat so that we can always revisit. Awesome. So we can be more. How do we do that? How can we be more? How can we be better? How can we improve? How can we leave a legacy by design? I want to start us by saying you need to know what you want. You want to have a succinct picture of what that legacy looks like. You want to journal, to get into the habit of journaling. If it's not on paper, it doesn't exist. You want to have a strategic plan. You want to begin thinking big picture, being strategic about what you are doing. So you have attended L.E.A.D and you have had so many modules where you were empowered to lead. You have acquired a lot of knowledge. Then what? What is the next step? How does that fit in your grand scheme of things? How does that fit into the leadership that you want to have? How is that impacted on your family, if say it's a family legacy you want to leave, I can tell you that having learned to communicate better, I have decided that I will use communication to make sure that my family continues to work as a team. We have learned team in Toastmasters. How can you use that knowledge of teams in your work situation to make sure that you are winning all the time? We're talking about inspirational leadership. We want to have strategic plans about that. You want also to step into the dream. Because once you have a dream, you cannot wait for 10 years later. Step into that dream today. Start building your legacy today. They say the best time to plant a tree was so many years ago, but the next best time is now. The best time to start building a legacy, if you have not already started, is right now. What is it that you really want? Because you can get it if you really want. You can create the life of your dreams if you want, but you also need to put in a grind. You need to work the plan. You need to do some work. I like this quote again by Deepak Chopra. You must find the place inside yourself where nothing is impossible. So can you leave a legacy? Yes, you can. And what is the future that you are looking at? I said, yeah, my future as a leader is learning to lead and leading to learn. Are you positioning yourself in places where you begin to work legacy? Are you positioning yourself in a mode of learning so that you can learn and your learning helps you to take you into legacy? And right now, I just want us, this is something that I do these days because I love reading, and I would like us to put together a library. So in the chat box, make sure to save the chat box, and in that chat box, please put in the book or the books that you are reading currently. As leaders, leaders are readers. What books are you reading lately? What books are you reading lately that support legacy or where you are going or what you want or what you love? What books are you reading? Can we have that in the chat box? I'm not going to be spending a lot of time in there, but I would want us to use that to collect our library, because if I get the books that you are reading and you get the books that another person is reading, that is an awesome library for you to take you to the next level. So what books are you reading? The book that I recommend that you read, especially alongside this session today, is Brian Tracy. He's got an amazing audio on goals. So as a strategic thinker, you want to master the idea of setting goals. I know DTM Zivai loves goal setting and goal achievement. So go ahead and look out for books on goal setting. What other books are there? I know one book called The 48 Laws of Power. It's a great book to find. What other books are we seeing that?
Books that we are seeing is The Secret, The Slight Edge, Learning and Lead and Leasing to Learn. That's not a Smart Talk. That's the book name. The Obstacle is the Way, Quiet Leadership, Who Moved My Cheese, The Last Lion, Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, Mega Living, A Woman Makes a Plan, Nobantu says 5 a.m. Club, Malile says Therefore I Rose, Amanda Dambuza is the author. Intelligence is Not Enough by Penny mentions that. Mduduzi says Think Like a Monk by Jade Chetty. The Smart Money Woman, That's another one that's mentioned. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. There's 24 more waiting. Should I hand back to you, Dorothy?
You can hand back to me. Thank you. And again, save the chat and make sure to use it afterwards. So let's collect these books. Let's read these books. I was in Bahrain earlier today on a call, and we were being taught how to read and read fast and how to get the most of your reading. You know, in this day of technology, not taught will not cut. So as leaders, you are encouraged to read and read as much as you can. So I also like what Ralph Waldo Emerson says. He says, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. We are talking legacy here. Don't just leave a legacy that anyone and everyone can leave. You want to leave a legacy, something like the Tsuros are leaving a legacy of leadership. Some of my favorite people in that picture are legacy builders. Already there is a club that was founded on the strength of a legacy that Meryl Juba, DTM, left. Sell the season. I know that when you take deliberate steps to build a legacy, you will and you can build a legacy. So whether you are thinking of the legacy of Nelson Mandela or Steve Jobs, or you are just living out your life, who knew that Maya Musk would live her life, journal whatever was happening in her life, a lot of highs and lows, only to become the mother of the Elon Musk, and over and above being a phenomenal woman of influence in her own right. So whatever it is that you desire to leave a legacy in, dare to study those that have done it and put on their attributes and make sure to leave that legacy. Again, legacy is something that you can grow into. I like Steve Jobs, very controversial, but you and I today know the power of that little thing he is holding and how, because of his work ethic, because of how he mastered the grind, because of the discipline that he went through, how he managed to change the world. I like it that people can say maybe one person cannot change the world, but you have got the power to change one life. Your legacy can change one life, if not the lives of many. So thank you for this opportunity to inspire you to begin to think legacy. And again, like I said earlier, to have the dream of a legacy that you want to leave and not hold it today is a skill so at only the extraordinary can handle. We have extraordinary leaders on the call, and I would like to challenge you. What legacy would you like to leave? What strategic focus are you putting into it? What plans do you have? What relationships are you forging that support the legacy that you are building? So legacy is legacy. You decide what it is that you want to build. But in deciding for that legacy, you want the discipline, you want the support. I like it that in Toastmasters, you never have to go it alone. You always have support. So as we goal set to finishing the LEAD program today, I want to challenge you to not goal set to today as the end of the program, but to goal set past the program and say, I will leave a legacy and I will be that leader that is being looked for. I will be that executive who is going to think different and do different. I will become that parent who becomes more and better. I'll become a better friend. I'll become a better sister. I'll become a better manager because I want to leave a legacy that I will intentionally build, grow into it, invest into it. Think legacy. Think legacy. Thank you very much. And if you want to have connection and talking about legacy after this call, feel free to reach out to me. DTM Zvai has got my details, and I will be happy to continue to inspire you on how you can build those dreams. It's 1900 hours. We have 15 minutes before we go to our break, if I'm correct. Let's talk about legacy. Can we go back to this picture? Are we on this picture? When you look at this small boy who is 4 years old, what legacy do you think he can leave? Can you please support me by putting it into the chat box? What legacy do you think this boy who is 4 years old, what legacy do you think he can leave behind? Do I have contributions in the chat box?
There are contributions in the chat box. There's one that says scientist, love and laughter, self-love and goal-driven, innovator. That's the last one at the moment. There's more coming. Businessman, leader, whatever he chooses.
Legacy. I want to point out to this. Are you seeing the arrow as I'm pointing onto this little girl here?
Yes, we can see it.
Right. She is a baker. She's 10 years old and she has a thriving business. Do you think she can leave a legacy? Yes, she can. I will point out to this little lady here. She is a jeweler. She is a jeweler and she has a thriving business. Do you think she can leave a legacy? Why am I pointing at the youngsters and saying they have a legacy they are building? Because you want to start and you want to start now. And if a 10-year-old can have a thriving business and begin a legacy that is worth talking about, what more the dream builders that I see on this call? I want us to go to L. Nightingale. He says strategic thinking, talking about strategic thinking, its success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Gina is on the call. Gina, can you please, in 2 minutes, tell us what you got so far on this call? Gina Roper, are you on the call? I saw you earlier.
She is on the call.
Sorry,
Right.
yes, yeah.
Thank you for
I'm not
and
start my video because I'm not on a very good device.
that's okay.
Please just repeat your question because I'm having some difficulty with sound as well.
All right. I'm just saying, what did you get from this session, Gina?
Dorothy, what I got was incredible inspiration and motivation. I think that everybody joins Toastmasters for a different reason. However, within a very short space of time, everybody who has joined Toastmasters has started building a legacy, whether they realize it or not. And I thank you for bringing that so much up to our attention, because as a president of a new club, I just look at our members who were not Toastmasters 6 months ago, and I look at how far they've come, and they're all building legacies, and that is just remarkable.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for contributing, and thank you so much. I see Mduduzi on the call. Mduduzi, please, can you in 1 minute just share what you got from this presentation?
Hello, Dorothy. For me, the presentation, which is actually something that I was looking for, is really the question that I've been asking myself about my legacy. And it's a challenging question really to ask yourself in this ever-changing world that we're living in, to say, what legacy do you want to leave? So I started just jotting down really what I would like to actually leave. Being a person that has invested so much in technology, I actually would like to be left or to leave a legacy of technology and leadership, because we do find that in information technology, most especially, we don't find people that are well-spoken. We don't find a lot of leaders out there. So I would like to actually leave the legacy of saying that I was in this technology space or technology industry, and I was a leader in that space. Thank you.
Awesome, and thank you for that contribution. I see Wusi on the call. Wusi, tell us, what did you get on the call?
Thank you so much, Coach Dorothy. An amazing session. I'm inspired for days. My take home is really on the time issue. The quotes that you gave us, and I just Googled it, it's a Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is now. What this did for me is to reinforce that it's not too late for me to do that which I want to do. And I particularly love your passion for coaching and for families. For me, it is so key that families become very well grounded. So looking at this quote, I'm about to run with that which puts fire underneath my wings. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And Toastmasters gives us the wings to fly. I see Gina. Gina, can you please take half a minute to tell us what you got? And Bet, tell me when it's time to go for the break. Lutolo, I think you will not remain silent. Lutolo, I will ask you to say what you got today, and I was glad I could show you a picture of the person I think you look like. So over to you, Lutolo.
I saw that coming. Thank you, TTM. Thank you, TTM. One of the things that I battle with in my legacy journey is the one that says we are under the pressure of living a certain life, which in most cases is interpreted by our financial well-being. And it most times clashes with who we are and the legacy we want to live. So I've got this conundrum I try to keep solving in my mind that says, how do I align those? And through this program, I'm learning how to align those. And one of the things I've learned, and as you shared, that things that have been sealed, is that I think it's an African problem. We have mental blocks that we need to unlock. And I've learned that through the program, we need to be patient. And some of the things we're gonna do are gonna be seeds that the fruit of will not harvest, will be long gone. But it is important that we keep planting the seed, even if we're not gonna be the ones who are going to reap the fruit, but the next generation needs to reap those fruits. Because on the mental block, there's something I'm doing with my friends lately. You can do it yourself. Think of any number that you can think of, call that number. And what's the biggest number you know of? Look at the difference between the number you thought of and the biggest number you know. And imagine if that number was going to be how much money I was going to give you. So I look at those as mental blocks that we as mainly Africans need to unlock. And what we do in Africa will influence the world at large. So I'm encouraged, DTM, and I'm thankful for this program. It has made me a better person, and I'm looking forward to lead both inside Toastmasters and outside. Over to you, DTM.
Thank you, my leader, to lead in Toastmasters and outside Toastmasters. I always want to emphasize Toastmasters is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. Dr. Ralph Smedley never intended for us to be professional Toastmasters, but that we come to Toastmasters to strengthen our positions so that when we go into the real world, we begin to impact at a higher level. Sibongile, I see you are hiding behind your camera. Can you have the next minute, Sibongile?
DTM Dorothy, thank you so very much for this session. I have learned so much from you today, and in particular, being intentional about about defining your legacy and moving forward to actually make it a reality. What you spoke about, the strategic plan to get you there, is something that I will start looking at, because we always talk about the strategic plan for, for the companies and the various places where one might be a board member. But on a personal note, I think this is important. And can you hear me, DTM?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
we can hear you.
okay.
Yes.
Sorry for that. I just saw something happen on my screen. And for me, it also relates to last week's session around that whole concept around Ikigai and the various areas that are, our actual zones of excellence, where we can use those as a way to define who it is that we want to be and what legacy we want to leave. Thank you so very much. Bye.
Thank you, thank you. And John, I see your hand, my leader. John, there.
Yes, thank you, GTM. You see, you made me think differently today, because what you said about legacy. When we talk legacy, generally, we normally think big names: Nelson Mandela, Robert Mugabe, Steve Jobs, and so forth and so on. But what you said today made me think otherwise. You said leaving a legacy, even within your small little circle, is something that is very, very important, because even if you are at the workplace and you impact a positive, the people that you work with, it this is not went to the whole world, but the people that you are working with, it is a legacy and it is recognized. So I think from now on, I will start thinking differently from how I used to think about legacy. Thank you, DTM.
Thank you, thank you. So legacy is a decision that you can make. To say, I am not going to be an ordinary parent. I am going to be the kind of parent that generations later, they will talk about a grandmother that taught us how to put beads together, to make a business of it, to understand money, to understand governance at a child's level. It's a choice, it's a decision that you make. And Maya Musk, like I mentioned earlier, ordinary housewife going through divorce, life happening, becomes the first person to be a model in her 50s. Now she is one of the world's best models in her late 70s. It's choosing to live life a certain way, being intentional, having the discipline, and making your life count. We have 1 minute for Bet. I see your hand, Bet.
That was just to draw your attention to the time, DTM, Dorothy.
All right, thank you. And it is 5:15. I think I can hand over back to you, Madam Chair, DTM Ziwai, to take us into our break, and then we will be back for the question and answer session. Back to you, DTM Ziwai.
And yes, it is 5:15 in your world. For some of us, it's 7:15. And I know for others in our district, it's 8:15. So whatever time it is where you are at o'clock. So thank you so much to distinguished Toastmaster Dorothy for taking us through strategic thinking, legacy contribution. Just the questions, for me, the questions she was posing really got me to reflect and to think again, to say, where am I when it comes to building a legacy? I am a proud student of Coach Dorothy. She's one of my coaches, and we continue to have these conversations every year. And it is probably now 5 years down the line, but it's a conversation you need to continue to have. And if you don't have such people in your life, these are people that you need, because we tend to get into our comfort zone. There are also sometimes there are blind spots that we have, and we don't really look at some of the topics that we've been looking at in the past 10 sessions. So having this particular topic for this last session of our L.E.A.D Executive Development Programme was very key. And having a legacy builder, a dream builder, Coach Dorothy, distinguished Toastmaster Dorothy, taking us through it, I think for me, that's also been a cherry on the cake. So we will take our 5-minute bio break. I've eaten into it. So it's now going to be like a 3-minute bio break so that we are back by 20 past, and we can get to hear questions where you can ask your questions. And let's make use of the time that we have with this global legacy builder that we have in this session. So let's have our bio break and we'll be back soon. Welcome back, everyone, to our Q&A session of session number 10. If you can either raise your hand and ask your question, or if you'd like to ask your question in the chat box, we will be watching the chat box. We will start with Toastmaster Faso. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Toastmaster Faso, you are still muted. Would you like to go ahead?
Yes, no. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Dorothy. My question is, you ask us to have a blueprint and to make a plan. How can you give us a concrete example? How will we achieve that? How do we combine our daily life, or ever at work or in personal life, to make this legacy plan in real? Thank you.
Thank you for that great question. How this legacy plan is going to get into the way of everything else. I like just to think of legacy as something that you want, and we are saying what do you want? And we said you can have a picture, an idea of what that looks like for you. So I'll give you the example of a family that I shared with you earlier on. In the 80s, I got married and I decided I was going to be a phenomenal parent before I even had children. And in my mind, I thought to myself, what does that look like? I am saying, what does phenomenal parenting look like? It's having children that are well-mannered to the best of your ability, is to teach them certain values to live by, is to have a certain number of children to the extent that you can determine it. This all then becomes like part of your blueprint. So you decide you're going to have so many children, and God willing, you have so many grandchildren. And when the grandchildren are there, is to remember, I'm building a legacy. Instead of grandchildren growing up to not have a relationship with grandma, is to work at building a relationship, so much so that when I want to inspire transformational life coaching, they are in a position to get it from me. Hence, we don't have a jeweler in the family by accident, but by design. Having decided that this is the kind of life, this is the kind of legacy I would want to live, you begin to put things into motion to make sure that you have it. Let's talk about dream building or building a house. You may want a house which is a 3, 4, 5-story house. You have a picture of that house. But as a legacy builder, what we are encouraging you to do is having the picture of the house that you want to work backwards and say, I am starting today to build this house. What do we need? So before we even talk about the roof and the finishes, you are talking about a foundation. But I don't know how the foundation is and what foundations are like. So what do? I have to engage a builder. Before even a builder, I need to engage an architect so that they have the plans. And once the plans are there, the builder comes in, and once the building is finished, the designer comes in to do the final touches. I don't know, am I painting the picture? Is it something that you are saying? So we are saying whatever legacy you want to build, you need support. You may want to have a legacy of being the IT guru. Somebody said they want to leave a legacy of being phenomenal in the field of IT. What you may want to do is to study those that have done it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You want to study, you want to hire specialists, you want to connect with like-minded people and get ideas. DTM Zilai, would you like to support me in this?
Okay, you've answered it fully. So I think we will move on to the next question. Thank you for your response to that. Toastmaster Will Scott, I see your hand. Please unmute and go ahead.
Thank you so much, DTM Zivai. I'd like to just firstly apologize. I was a few minutes late this evening, and I do humbly apologize for that. DTM Dorothy, it's so nice to see you again, and thank you so much for this presentation. I've always been a big admirer of yours, and well, we all know now why. I would just like to say this. You know, legacy is a word that can evoke a lot of emotion in people, and depending on who you are and what your experiences kind of led you to believe about society and life and yourself, we can scale that. We can kind of think to ourselves, well, for me, this would be a good legacy. Then you go to the next person and perhaps they're going to say, well, I would like to leave something a little bit bigger. And so you go. I mean, how long is a piece of string, right? You look at a guy like Richard Branson, for example. Now, he's quoted as having said, he's not the brains behind the Virgin brand. He was merely the facilitator who got together the best minds that he could find and pulled them all into the same collective to each and individually distinguish themselves, and by so doing, create a brand that was bigger than the sum of its parts. For me, as you know, I have certain challenges that I live with, but those have not been the focus of my life. For me, it's got to be something like education, something like leadership, as we're doing today, something that will elevate our society into the society we would like to see. I spend a lot of time on social media. We can all sing the horror stories. We know where we are. But I choose to look beyond that, and I choose to believe that each and every person on this call believes that they could be more, believes that they can, by extension, be a vessel for society to be more. And I just encourage everyone on this call, don't give up, just keep going, just do what you do, just keep bettering yourself and being an example, because people do take notice and people do see the things you do. And that, I believe, is going to be ultimately be where we win the fight. Or as you said it quite eloquently, DTM Dorothy, win the war. I hand back to you, DTM Ziva.
Wow. Confirm to me, Will, you're in Cape Town.
Correct.
Will, unbeknown to you, the little boy in that picture is a special needs baby. Was born with a deformed heart, went through open heart surgery, and he is recovering. I have spoken your name in the family setup, giving them encouragement, because I saw you once and you spoke volumes to me. You imparted legacy by the very essence of who you are and what you're about and what you do. So no dream is the ideal legacy, global. Any legacy is legacy. And you get to decide whether or not you want to leave a footprint in the sands of time. And like I said, because of your tenacity, resilience, you are already living out loud legacy. I have hope in my grandson because I saw for myself what you can do if you've got the willpower to do anything. So who decides on what size of legacy? You decide. You can be just living your life and becoming more as a person, as a mother, as a teacher. You can impact the world when you are just impacting your world. So I hope that cements your sentiments. Back to you, DTM Zirai.
Thank you, DTM Dorothy. We have Toastmaster Nobantu, who asked, do you have any books on legacy that you can recommend?
Any books on legacy? I think we've got a great collection of books as people were putting them on the chat already. I like to do or to read autobiographies of people that have left a legacy. You learn a lot from that. Find a Nelson Mandela book and read it. Find a Steve Jobs and read it. Watch the documentary about, they called him King Richard, about Serena Williams and Venus Williams' father. They did a movie and it's showing currently. So in this day of technology, I would encourage you, Google as many legends as you can and see what you can make out of them. If you want to leave a legacy, read from people that have created legacies. Read also or find out from family members who had potential to create a legacy and they didn't. And you can still also learn from their failures. I hope that does answer you. Thank you. Back to you, Madam DTM.
Thank you, DTM Dorothy. Then Lupolo says, this is so fulfilling. One of my pathways is strategic relationships. And what is shared here is exactly why I chose the pathway. Thank you for your comment there. Do we have any more questions? Yes, Toastmaster Gina Roper, I see your hand. Please go ahead.
Hi, sorry about that. Yes, further to what has said and Dorothy's reply, in which I agree with her entirely, Will has by himself set an unrivaled example to many of us of what we can overcome. But just on that vein, I would also like to just state, I think that the ambition is not to leave and make legacy. The ambition is to have dreams, to have aspirations, and to achieve them. And in achieving them, you establish a legacy. When we look at some of the people we put down as having left a legacy, whether we look at Ralph Smedley, Nelson Mandela, Meryl Jabal, I think is a big one because that is someone that is very well known to all of us. They didn't set out to leave a legacy, but they had very aspirational dreams that would help others. And by working as hard as they did, they created a legacy. So I do think it's important to want to leave a legacy, but I think it's more important to have valuable dreams and aspirations and put them into action. Legacy will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, DTM Gina, for that. DTM Zvai, if I can just also comment on that. Totally agree with you, Gina. As you live out your life, live out loud your life, you create legacy. So sometimes it's not that intentional, but it's intentional in that you have chosen to be better, to become more. just signing up for LEAD, you're saying, I can learn a little more. I can become better. I can be bigger. I can give more. Mother Teresa, we are not talking material only. Mother Teresa decided she knew she wanted to serve, and she went all the way to serve, and serve to a point she left a legacy. So legacy is you living out your life loud, but we are encouraging you also to actualize your potential. So you've written one book, you can write 10. So you are a member of one club, you can be a member of more than one. So you have one DTM, you can actually get another DTM. After having done the legacy program, I realized there's loads of learning in Pathways. Hence, I am going for not my second, but my third DTM, this time in Pathways again. So what are we saying? There is scope in you to become bigger, better, to give more. And it's more satisfying when you die empty, as in having done all you can to make sure you give more to the world. God, the world is counting on you to be more, to give more. Back to you, DTM Zai.
Thank you for that. And we move to Toastmaster Penny Pakati. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening to Toastmaster Dorothy, DTM Dorothy, and the rest of the team. It has been such an intriguing moment for me. I was like so excited because I could actually relate to everything that you're saying, and I was actually in the verge of trying to establish what is it? Am I in the right path with what I'm doing? And then to discover that I am actually in the right path, and the fact that you are a transformational coach, which I've asked myself many a times, am I really doing that? Because I consider myself a game changer and would like to see changes through people's lives, whether it's in a corporate environment or whether it is personally. So I actually go out there and leave my best in making sure that I conquer in that aspect. But you've just brought me into a very important aspect of being a true from your space. Like we say, there's a saying that says charity begins at home. Then it must start right in your surrounding. It must start as a mother, it must start right with your children and your family before you go out there and trying to conquer others, but it needs to begin with you. So that to me was a powerful lesson. And I am so grateful for this opportunity to have met with you. And thank you, DTM Zavai, as well, for this opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you for your feedback. DTM Dorothy, do you want to comment?
Thank you, thank you. I just want to thank you for that comment, and to say again, it's not anything that anyone can prescribe. It's again just living out your purpose to the best way you know how. In that way, you create a legacy. So, and also knowing that while you can create it by just breathing and doing your thing, you can also by design choose to say, Toastmasters, there are opportunities to lead in Toastmasters. And I have leadership that is inside me. Can I perhaps take advantage and serve in Toastmasters and learn to lead in Toastmasters? So that there is being deliberate, it's being intentional. I am sure that our district director had intentions to lead and positioned themselves in a way that they become the leader. And because they positioned themselves, they are now able to lead not just one country, but how many countries in District 12? You decided to become a member, not just of one little organization with 12 people, but of an international organization with so many members, and hence leverage on your ability to connect globally. So yes, by design you can. And yes, as a transformational life coach, it's transforming lives starting from home. I am a strong believer in charity begins at home? Who in your sphere of influence can you transform their lives? Hence, one of the things that we really believe is that we can support humanity by bringing back the dignity to men. You know how life just plays people down, but if you read like Maya Musk, A Woman Makes a Plan, you see how you can actually transform a negative into a positive and see that you can actually work against circumstances to actually be better, be more powerful, and give more to society. Thank you. Back to you, Madam DTM Zwei.
Thank you. We move on to Toastmaster L.E.A.
Thank you, DTM Zavai. DTM Dorothy, it's actually an absolute pleasure to sit in your company tonight. And I think from session 9, where we were speaking of inspiration and how people strive as leaders to become inspirational leaders, leaving a legacy, I think, is definitely the next best thing. So when you were speaking earlier, I know that family is something that you hold very close to your heart and is something that sits with you. But so as a leader, I am someone that strives to be inspirational and be the best version of myself and work on myself and so forth. So I often try and write my obituary once in a while to see what that could look and sound like. But unfortunately, this year I hit a real sort of bump with regards to I felt quite ill, and it's taken me longer to get up and get back to who I usually am. I want to know, what is something that keeps you going even when times are tough and it's challenging? You know, from a personal perspective or professional perspective, the reality is recently with COVID and so much more, things have become much tougher. You're dealing with people that are experiencing so much, yet you're trying to inspire in the same breath. What is it that keeps you focused on leaving your legacy and getting you through those tough days?
Thank you, thank you. I love that question because life happens. And I had an acronym of life earlier today, actually. And they say the L is learnings. The I is the inspirations. The F is failures and fears. And E could be the experiences. I think it brings us to what is your why. Begin with your why. And if your why is big enough, the challenges that come to life, you will fight them head on, knowing that you can win some battles, you can lose some battles, but you are set towards winning the war. So the war is the big picture. The war is the legacy that you want to build. When I bring family and I show you family, it doesn't mean it's a rose garden. Remember, the rose bush itself has got thorns in them, right? So what vision do you have around the things that affect you? What balance can you leverage to make sure that these setbacks don't stop you from achieving the overall goal that you have? We learn a lot of negotiation skills in Toastmasters. We learn to communicate better. And a lot of the things that happen in our lives is communication. Your body speaks. Let's talk about your health. Practical application. When you don't feel so well, it's your body communicating with you that there's something wrong somewhere and you need to connect with it and deal with it. And you face it and fix it. Talk about relationships. Most of the time, relationships go sour because of our failure to communicate. We are learning in Toastmasters how to communicate better. So Marriages can even be saved from your ability to communicate better and your choice to stick it out, or your choice to change or to move. I think it's Jim Rohn who says you are not a tree. You can actually move, you can change. So what are we saying? We are saying obstacles will be there. There's a book, a powerful book that somebody mentioned. The Obstacle is the Way. It's a great book to read. Study mindfulness, understand life, understand to manage yourself. Again, as a leader, it's one of the things that you need to learn, to manage yourself. Because when you learn to manage yourself, whatever situations come your way, you're better equipped to handle them. So think about life and its challenges in this format, that the L is for the learnings. The I is the inspirations that you get in life. F is fears and failures. And E is the experiences. And if you learn to accept life, I like the serenity prayer for those that know it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So once you know that you are the captain in the ship of your life, and you take authority and charge over your life. Yes, obstacles come, challenges come, but you face them and fix them and trudge on. But again, know your why. Why this legacy you want to create? Why is this the life that you want to build? And if your why is strong enough, you can face and deal with any challenge. I hope that answers you. Back to you, DTM Zilai.
Thank you. I will just take the last two who've had their hands up for quite a while. Then any questions that have been put in the chat box, we will move those to the WhatsApp group, and I will invite DTM Dorothy to then answer those questions there so that you still get the answers to questions you wanted to ask. I'll move to our friend of District 74, Toastmaster Francoise.
Hello, sorry, good afternoon for me, good evening for you. Yes, I'm from the Caribbean island of Antigua. And the question is, something shocked me in your presentation, DTM. You said that the legacy are in both formats, the bad and the good. And when you highlighted Mr. Hitler, I almost dropped my pen. My question to you, well, let me start with a statement. It is said that his two sons decided not to have children because of what their father, Hitler, did. Because reason being, they do not want his legacy to pass on to the next generation. My question to you is, many of us have family that are like Hitler, but might not be that detrimental like he was, but they're extremely negative. And myself being a Toastmaster of BPE and doing my observations and interacting, I'm very much aware that we have persons who are in Toastmasters who are seeking that hope, that let them know that they are somebody. I really want to thank you a lot for sharing the opportunity that anyone on this call or who will be watching it on YouTube after, that no matter what legacy your parent and or guardian may have left that was not good, you have the opportunity to turn it around and be purposeful and leaving a beautiful legacy for those around you and also to the children that are not yet born. Thank you.
Thank you, Francois. Be the change that you want. If I like Verity Price, the speech that won the World Championship of Public Speaking. Your life is a book. And if you don't like the way it's reading, you can change it. The legacy that could be running in your family could be a negative legacy. You have the opportunity, now that you have embraced better values, now that you know better, you have the opportunity to change it. So the power is in your hands to create a legacy that is more befitting, that is based on your values and your moral and ethic. So yes, you can, and you have the power to change it. Just to tell you a story, I am one of 9 children. And I realized very early on that there was a legacy of no education in not just my family, but in my tribe. So I started personally to study. I am a product of personal development. And I decided that I would be an example. And I'll tell you, doctors are coming out of my family. Earlier on, there used to be, I think about a 100-kilometer radius from my village, no one who was educated, but now they're doctors. Recently, another doctor was churned in the family and whatever. Again, this is legacy being built of deciding to put a stop and model the desired end and build a legacy that way. So you can be creative in creating legacy. Back to you, DTM.
Thank you, DTM Dorothy. So our final question is coming from Toastmaster Rumbidzai Chikoa.
Thank you so much. It was a really wonderful session, DTM Dorothy. My question is, okay, when tying in like succession with legacy, how do you not, for example, with family, how do you not maybe force your vision, but at the same time, you want to leave a form of your legacy as well, in whether it be business or family or whatever you're doing as well. So I think that would be my question is, how do you tie in succession and making sure that I want to leave the legacy, but I don't want to also force maybe even my kids to do what I want, what I'm doing, but I would obviously want them to have a part of what I'm doing as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that question, Toastmaster Rumbidzai. It's a delicate dance. It's a delicate dance. It's again, how strong is your why? It's understanding emotional intelligence, amongst other things. It's understanding what is it that you want. Do you have a vision for your family, for instance? So if you have a vision, the very essence of a vision is that you get buy-in from the other stakeholders. Remember earlier on, we talked about learning to manage other stakeholders. So it's understanding the stakeholders that are there. Once upon a time, I had a son who was a tennis player, and he quickly said to me, "Mom, we are going to have to work as a team. And these are the things that are required for you to support a tennis player." And the whole aspect of teamwork, it began to happen in the family setup, understanding that you cannot have a successful, sports person without having buy-in from all the stakeholders. So yes, it has to be a delicate balance. You have to be reasonable. Remember, inspirational leadership, you were saying you learned last week about inspirational leadership. Learn to inspire, not to force our family members to do things. Have buy-in. As a good leader, you know to inspire others to buy into your vision. And as a leader, you don't go on a tangent on your own. You make sure that others are following closely to you. So again, it's a delicate balance. And again, all these things are things that we can learn. We can learn. Thank you. Back to you, DTM Zwei.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot thank you enough, DTM Dorothy, for this final session, session number 10 on strategic thinking, legacy contribution, for what you have shared with us from your personal experiences, from your wealth of experience and the knowledge that you have pertaining to this subject. So I just want to thank you as the program director, and I'm sure people have been sending their thanks in the chat box as well. Let's use those emojis, the hand claps, to appreciate the time that DTM Dorothy spent preparing to come and share with us, and even taking time away from her 3 musketeers to be with us, which is her second love, which is Toastmasters and personal development. So we don't take what you've given to us today lightly. So I want to thank you, DTM Dorothy, for coming and taking us through the final session of our L.E.A.D Executive Development Programme. I will just give a rundown of the 10 sessions that we had from the beginning. We started session number 1, Vision, Mission, Values. We had Distinguished Toastmaster Frank Tsuro. Session number 2, Personal Leadership and Branding, Distinguished Toastmaster Patience Shisanga. Session number 3, Leadership Etiquette, with Distinguished Toastmaster Sandra Cooper. Session number 4, Emotional Intelligence and Conflict Resolution, with Distinguished Toastmaster Andrew Tsuro. We moved on to session number 5, Leadership Influence in a Virtual VUCA World, with Distinguished Toastmaster Ravin Lama. Session number 6, Coaching Conversations to Improve Team Performance, with Distinguished Toastmaster Eric Vigi. Session number 7, Analytical Thinking and Problem Solving, with Toastmaster Kuhle Mutembu. Session number 8, Time and Stress Management Balance, with Granny B, Distinguished Toastmaster. Session number 9, Motivational, Inspirational Communication, with Distinguished Toastmaster Karen Levi-Strauss. Then session number 10 this evening, Strategic Thinking, Legacy Contributions, with Distinguished Toastmaster Dorothy Chanakira. And you're having participated in this 10-week program. We have been building brick upon brick, layer upon layer, and it is up to you what you are going to do with everything that you have learned. We set this table before you. Some of you were able to be here for each and every session. Others had other meetings that had already been pre-booked and were not able to be here, but you've been able to go back and watch the replays, take the notes, do the assignments. I'm encouraging some who may have still not caught up. You still have time to catch up. We are giving you until 30 December to have submitted and uploaded your assignments. And I know we are going to get one final assignment I'd actually overlooked for this session from DTM Dorothy. Something that you would like us to do to cement what we have learned. I will also ask you to diarize January 15, so that we then really close this off on a high and we hear what your next steps are, having accelerated your leadership development. So I'll now just quickly give back control to DTM Dorothy to give us the assignment. Then we will have our photo moment. And this is then the final of our 10-week program. Over to you, DTM Dorothy, for the assignment.
Thank you, DTM Zwei. There is a writing in a religious book which says, and the Lord answered and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets so he may run who reads it. The assignment for today is for you to write the vision that you have for the legacy that you want to create or leave. Try to put words into that dream that you have. What do you love? What is it that you would want people to remember you for? What is it that you want to do so well that people will speak good about you? So you want to write the vision. You want to write the legacy. So the assignment could start off like, I want to build a phenomenal family, a family that respects these values, a family that builds the nation this way, that way. Put it down as your vision for the legacy. I want to be an IT guru. I want to establish a school. I want to lead in Toastmasters. I want to be the international president. If that is the legacy you want, you write it down. So the assignment is that you write out the vision in simple, understandable language. Why? So that you can go back to it and make sure that you actualize that vision. Make sure that you bring the brick and mortar together so that the vision is actualized. Thank you very much. Is that clear, DTM Zwei?
Yes, that is crystal clear, and we will have the recording uploaded on YouTube, so we'll be able to go back. So please make sure that you work on your assignment, and in the Google Drive folder for session number 10, you can upload your assignment there, and DTM Dorothy will also then be able to read what you have put down on paper. And I will ask you all to turn on your videos, those who don't have their videos on, and our Zoom masters will begin taking our group photos, and I will adjourn the meeting at exactly 20:03, meeting adjourned.
Everybody give a big smile. I must say, I've been allowed to be Zoom master for certain stuff by the grace of the two female Zoom masters that's here, Sigrid and Selena. So they gave me permission to do what I had to do. Thanks to Selena and Sigrid. So everybody a smile, and Sigrid and Selena, please help me take shots. Oh, there's 4 screenfuls, so keep on smiling, keep on smiling. I'm only at the second screen now, the third screen. There's only a few people here with their videos on. Let's see, on the 4th screen, there's nobody with videos on, but there's some profile pictures over there. So Selena and Sigrid, I hope you also got some shots, so together we can put together something good. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, back to you, Zivai.
A round of applause and special thanks to our Zoom masters who have been consistent, who were always here at 5:30, 30 minutes before the start of the meeting. Toastmaster Sigrid, Toastmaster Selena Seipei, Toastmaster Bertus Theron. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. And to our timer, Toastmaster Hao, and our PR person, Toastmaster Mubu, Delon Mubu. We really appreciate your having been part of the team and for supporting the vision. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your holidays, and we will see you on the 15th of January, 6 p.m. Central Africa time, and come ready to celebrate what we have been doing over the past 10 weeks. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Ziva.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
You for having me.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Bye for
Bye.
now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you very much from District 81. Antigua.
Thank you
and
for having joined us.
Thank you very much for the coordination and everything. Wonderful.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, DTM Zibai.
You're welcome. Good evening, good night, good afternoon. Team, thank you. I will end the meeting now. We are only 9 of us left. So, and it's 7 past, so there's no time for pata this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.